Welcome to this week's episode of the Fade Route with D and Z. I am D. Got a good show for you tonight. The national championship game is set. The Dolphins continue to play without Tua. And we debate which athlete had the best 2022. But we begin today's show with the injury to Damar Hamlin. Cornerback on the Buffalo Bills collapsed on Monday night after tackling T. Higgins. He remains in critical condition in the hospital. Z, what are your thoughts and feelings on the tragedy that took place? And, where do we go from here?
Well, first and foremost, our thoughts and prayers go out to Damar Hamlin and his family, the Buffalo Bills organization, the players, the Cincinnati Bengals organization, the players, the coaches. It's a fraternity, right? The NFL is a fraternity, and they watched their brother lay unconscious for 19 minutes, receiving medical attention, 9 minutes of CPR. So it's a traumatic moment for everybody involved, and we hope and pray that Damar Hamlin survives, that he is healthy, and he comes out of this in one piece. And it's a shocking, it's a frightening, it's an all around. The word jarring was used multiple times by Adam Schefter and other ESPN reporters, and jarring is exactly the right word. The expectation going into this, when you sit down on your couch or when you sit down in the stadium or when you suit up, is that you're going to play a game, you're going to watch a game. There may be some minor injuries, some bumps and bruises, and at the end of the day, one team will win and one team will lose. It's an escape. Sports is meant to be an escape from reality. It's an escape from our daily lives. And to be faced with life and death, like I mentioned, Hank Gathers, multiple people have mentioned Hank Gathers, Reggie Brown, multiple instances in hockey, whether it's Richard Zegnick getting his throat slit by an errant skate. Like, you get an intersection of life and death in that moment, and that is not, it's not expected. So your escape is met with a crush of reality, and it knocks you for a loop. Like, multiple people, multiple reporters, myself. I don't know about you, D. We didn't discuss your sleeping pattern, but like, I was up for hours afterwards, just scrolling Twitter, staying, glued to ESPN, hoping for an update. And it finally came. He's still in critical condition, but he is, he's taking more oxygen. He's only at 50% oxygen instead of 100% oxygen usage. And, it is a dose of reality, and I would just like to praise the fans for being respectful. I want to praise the fans for, being human. We're very tribalized in our sports. We're very tribalized in this world, and everybody showed up for this guy. everybody showed up for Damar Hamlin, whether it's the donations to his charity. And if you want to donate to his charity, the Chasing M's Foundation, please do so. They've raised over $6 million, and it's a very worthwhile cause. I highly recommend that you do. I will be, even if it's just a little bit. I mean, I will be donating something.
The show will.
The show will. The show will. That's fair. That's fair. We'll go halvesies. But you know, there's a humanity there, and the humanity showed up just when you think we're at our farthest apart. We're back together again, and like we're united on one common purpose. However, it is unfortunate that this is the event that brought us together, because it's an unfortunate situation for this kid. I mean, he's 24. He's a kid, and you know, we just hope and pray that he's gonna be okay. And that's not even thinking about when he can resume and if he can resume his career. We just want to make sure this kid's okay and that he survives.
Yeah, I mean, I watched it in live time, and you were the first person, I kind of messaged. It just had a different feel. Didn't look right. And it was a clean tackle. I mean, it wasn't like he was coming in like a missile. It wasn't anything crazy, nothing special. It was a tackle. Tackle he's probably made 100,000 times. Gets up and just falls right back down. Just want him to recover. Just want him to be okay. Get some type of normalcy of life back. Reports say that he died twice on the field. Like, he died on the impact, and then they brought him back with 9 minutes of CPR, and then he died again, and they brought him back with the paddles. They got a pulse, and they got him out of there and brought him to the hospital. I think it just goes.
His mom, man. His mom was in the stadium.
Mom's there, man. T. Higgins feels terrible about it. T. Higgins feels like he killed him. Everybody's reeling from it. It just puts things in perspective. Like, this is a game. It's not as serious. It kind of made me want to reach out to people and just tell them I love them. You never know. Tomorrow's not promised to anybody. And your life can change in a blink of an eye. Like, he didn't go into that game thinking this was going to happen. And I'm sure he still doesn't even really know what happened. Life is precious. And, they can't play the game. It's just like, just don't let the Bengals and the Bills play each other. They're talking about maybe playing this after next week, and it's just like, guys, just cancel the game. Do the seeding based on percentages. That's what you were gonna do during the COVID season. If you had to cancel games, it was gonna go by percentages. Cancel this game. There's no reason. Do not make the Buffalo Bills go back to Cincinnati, Ohio, to play a football game in that stadium. Do not make that team do that. All for seeding. And I read something else where they were gonna randomly take a game that the Kansas City Chiefs played and make it not count, and then setting up this weekend to be the end all be all. I was like, that's not right. Don't be punishing the Chiefs. And I think having both teams tie is just disrespectful to the man. If anything, the Bengals, I've heard the Bengals are willing to give Buffalo the win. Just here, take the win, whatever. It's not that serious. And if the Bengals should happen to have to play the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs, an AFC Championship game or whatever, do not let them play this game in Cleveland, Ohio, and do not schedule the Bills to play Cincinnati for the next 10 years. I don't think any of those players want to relive any of that. And as macho as some of these guys are, they're human. they're human. There's a human element there, and it came out. It came out on the field because you could tell, despite what reports are saying, they were told, okay, 5 minutes, warm up, and you guys are gonna play. And Zach Taylor's like, nah, man, nah. He walked across the field, and he was talking to McDermott. McDermott's like, I need to go to the hospital. I can't be here right now. We're going in the locker room. He told his team, let's go in the locker room. We're going in the locker room. And the officials didn't know what to do. And granted, I'll give the NFL a little bit of a pass because this has never happened before. So not everybody was prepared to how to handle it. So I'll give everybody a pass on that. But I think, and I have a feeling, if the NFL does make them play this game, resume it, I'm going to bet everything I own that the stars of the game are not going to play. Like Burrow, Allen, Diggs, they're not going to. You can't play the game.
No, it's a traumatic experience, and you're making them relive it.
Yeah.
So I think that. I mean, I'd be fine with a tie. I understand where you're coming from. It would be disrespectful.
Yeah. Don't make it count. Just don't make it count.
Go with division record. If it's a tiebreaker, go with division record. Go with points scored. Go figure out what.
No, like I said, just do winning percentages. That was the plan during COVID. It's winning percentages, and it works out that way. You can't make these guys. You can't make them play each other. You just can't do it. And you know what? I hate to say this, Z, but I think Buffalo's done. I think Cincinnati's even done. I don't think this is a lasting effect. Football is a very emotional game. It's a very high intense game. I think if you talk to other people around the league, it was business as usual on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's like, yeah, this happened, but it didn't happen to our team. They probably discussed it, but it was business as usual. I don't think the Bengals or the Bills are going to be able to get amplified enough to go beat a Kansas City Chiefs team. To maybe go into Baltimore and win a game. Like, they're just not. I don't think they're going to be able to do that.
I mean, the wind is out of their sails for sure, and understandably so.
Unless he gets functioning again, where he's like, okay, out of the clear, out of the hospital, I think that would make everybody feel better about the situation. Like, okay, he's going to be okay. The unknown is still what's, I think, terrifying to everybody. Because everybody's looking, like everybody on the Bengals and the Bills, because everybody's looking at this and saying, man, that could have been me. That could be me today. That could be me tomorrow. That's my brother. That's my roommate, or things like that. So it's terrible. And that's what I'm thinking most about is the guy, the man.
Yeah.
Don't give a shit about seeding and all this other nonsense. None of that stuff matters. And by playing the game, you're saying it does.
You're absolutely saying that. And we'll get to a few guys that made it about the game more than the person when we talk about alleged superstar. But there was a little bit of disinformation or misinformation regarding the 5 minutes to warm up and get back out there, show must go on kind of thing. Now, I posted this on our Twitter account at FadeRouteDNZ. I posted that it reminded me, and you'll remember this, 1999, May 23rd, 1999. Owen Hart, when he fell from the rafters at Kemper Center.
Yeah.
At Kemper Arena.
And they finished the event.
They finished over the edge. WWF over the edge. His head exploded when it hit the turnbuckle. His neck broke. And the show went on.
His blood was in the ring, all over the ring.
Yeah. And the show went on. A few years later, in Montreal, Jerry Lawler had a heart attack in the ring. Now, they learned, the show went on, the show continued to go on again. Like, you can't have that. So, it felt very similar in those situations.
Yeah.
The result, however, was different because we had people who had the courage of conviction to say this is wrong. You know,
Yeah.
like Sean McDermott, Zach Taylor, they were not about it. The players weren't about it.
No.
And they, the show was not going to go on that night.
No way.
And I don't think Roger Goodell is that callous. I think that the delay, the speculation is that, the delay was trying to get them back onto the field and try to, no. At that point, you're trying to, because there are no protocols in place, you're trying to solve this on the fly. What are my contingency plans? What am I going to do? How am I going to get out of this situation with any recourse? How am I going to avoid any additional recourse? So I don't begrudge the NFL for taking the time they did to put things together. Like, I can't do that because there's no playbook.
No.
Maybe there will be moving forward.
Yeah. I think, and there should be, right? There should be. And it shouldn't be just a guy suffering a cardiac event. I mean, what was it? The guy from the Jets was paralyzed, Bird. You get, there's this whole next man up mentality, and this whole the show must go on. It's barbaric, it's ancient, and we need to change it.
It's time for the Fade In, where we give a nod to the trending sports stories of the week.
Sticking to football. And by the way, just to soften things up a little bit, this is the first time since Thanksgiving I'm not going to cough through this entire podcast. And I don't think Z's going to cough either. It's been a really rough 6 weeks for both of us. I think he was sick. Everyone in my house was sick. But finally, I'm sounding like a normal human being. I'm not congested. I'm not going to be yakking off in everybody's ears. So thanks for sticking with us through all that. But sticking to football, the Miami Dolphins lost to the New England Patriots on Sunday, 23-21. And Tua was unable to play in the game because he still hasn't cleared concussion protocol. He's not going to play in the finale against the Jets this weekend. Another great franchise. Can the Dolphins win without Tua, and does Tua have a future in Miami?
Well, can they win without Tua? That is the question. They have the horses, right? You have Mostert, you have Wilson, you have Tyreek Hill. You can get creative with Tyreek Hill. You can get creative, since this genius head coach, right? Because we're slapping the genius label on him. Is he Sean McVay Jr.? Sean McVay with a beard?
I don't know. They've lost 5 games in a row.
Yeah.
They've lost as many games in a row as the Jets have.
I'm going wise man once said, and that wise man was Goose from Top Gun. Come on, Mav, do some of that pilot shit. So Mike McDaniel needs to do some of that coaching shit. Like, if he's the guy that they asked for, if he's the guy that he claimed to be in that job interview, then he needs to figure out how to turn Skylar Thompson into Joe fucking Montana.
Yeah, it's a tough ask. I mean, I'm surprised Teddy Bridgewater hasn't played better, but to give Teddy a break, like Teddy was actually playing okay, not great, but okay. And then he dislocated his pinky, and then he was done. So, they just seem to lose games. I mean, listen, they've got 2 of their receivers are the top 5 in yards receiving this year. Like, they've got a running back. They've got 2 running backs that run the ball well. Their defense seems to be solid. I mean, just this concussion thing has me really worried about Tua and his future. And I think they need to explore their options in this offseason. This draft is quarterback studded, right? And there are some really good free agent quarterbacks sitting in the market. And, you know, you bring a guy in and you tell him, you give him the Joe Montana talk, right? You give him the Steve Young talk. I don't know how many games this guy's going to be able to play. You know, he's got a head issue, it's neurological. You know, I need you to be ready. You know, this could potentially be your team in 3 games, right? So I think you could give that talk to a Mike White. You could give that talk to a Geno Smith. Why wouldn't Geno Smith want to be playing with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle? Marcus Mariota's an easy guy. Derek Carr is going to be an easy guy. And, you know, and let's not forget about the Tom Brady factor. That's easy. That's an easy sell, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, do I think Tua is the guy? I'm starting to think he's not. I'm starting to think this concussion thing is going to be a problem. And can they win without Tua? It doesn't look like they can. And so in that situation, you're going to have to bring in a guy you can win with.
Well, this weekend, unless Teddy is going to splint it up and play, right? We were just talking.
Teddy's out. Teddy's out.
Yeah. So that leaves you with Skylar Thompson and Mike Glennon.
Yes, that's what they're doing. That's what they're going with. That's what they've been reduced to.
That means that if I'm Mike McDaniel, I'm putting the work in the lab and I'm figuring out ways like I should have been. Like, why were they so successful early on in the year? They were figuring out ways to get their players involved. Right? It wasn't just Tua dropping back the pass.
No, they were super explosive. But there wasn't much of a tape on it, right? Now teams got the tape now, right? It's like they've got an idea of what we need to do to keep this team in check, you know?
Right.
So
but at the same time, you got to figure out, you have to adjust. Everything. Professional sports is all about adjustments. They adjust to you, you adjust back to them.
Right.
And, you know, they draw the Jets this weekend.
This was a bad loss, but this was a bad loss to a Patriot team. Like, you had to beat the Patriots, and they literally lost. I believe they lost the game in the fourth quarter. I'm pretty sure Teddy went out, and then that's when Mac Jones came downfield, scored, and they just weren't able to get it going again. The Jets are just, God. Can I read you some stats on the Jets?
Please
Can I read you some stuff that I cooked up in the lab? So they've also lost 5 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And they're averaging 12 points a game. They haven't scored a touchdown in their last 2 games. And this is the 7th straight season where they're having a losing record. And this is the 12th straight season that they're not making the playoffs, which is the longest playoff drought in New York Jets history.
Mm-hmm.
How do you like that? And this is after Saleh's coached the team for 2 years, 3 years.
You can't put it all on Saleh. It was broken before he got there. It was Gase. It was Bowles. How
about the revenge of Adam Gase? Let's remember that he won his last 2 games as a Jet coach, which made them lose the number 1 pick and get the 2nd pick in the draft. How about that shit?
Oh my God.
How about that shit?
Adam Gase fucked them again.
How'd he do it? He did it. That's the difference between Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson. I was watching some tape on Zach Wilson earlier today. And, you know, you can see why teams fell in love with what he could do. He definitely has arm talent. He's definitely an athlete. And he's able to sling the ball in very, very weird arm angles, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The problem with Zach Wilson, though, is that he needed a coach to teach him how to be a professional quarterback. He didn't get that from Matt LaFleur's brother. Because if you watch the tape, you can see where he's late with his reads, late with delivery, on the RPOs waiting too long to deliver the ball, or on the RPOs making the wrong read but being athletic enough to escape middle of the road talent in college, where in the NFL you're not escaping a linebacker who runs a 4.5. Like, he's gonna get you and bring you down. And, you can't afford to be late in the NFL with your read. You've got to throw the ball before your guy breaks. You can't see him open and then deliver the football. So these are and so, like you were saying, you're giving Joe Douglas a slide. I, too, am easing off of Joe Douglas a little bit, because what I think they saw was they saw the talent. They acknowledged his errors, and they believed that Matt LaFleur's brother could fix it. And that's the only issue that I have is that you put too much faith in a guy that's never done this before. It's not like you said, okay, Doug Peterson's our head coach. He'll be able to fix this problem, right? No, you brought in somebody who'd never done this before, and the other thing I don't like is that the Jets' offense isn't anything like what he did in college. They don't do the RPO. He doesn't roll out. There's nothing like what he did at the combine. Like, just like Coach Westhoff was telling us, there's nothing that he did great at the combine that they've they've facilitated or put into their offense. So, and then the New York media, oh God, this is all because they lost Vera Tucker and Breece Hall. Shut up! Don't come at me with that nonsense. This is because they're inept. They're inept, that's why. And you bring over the kid from Jacksonville who's just been sitting on the bench for the last 5 games watching them lose. You telling me he can't help them lose? Come on, man.
No. James Robinson turns out to be a wasted pick, or a wasted trade, because he didn't do enough on the team. So Jacksonville's not going to reap the benefit of that trade. They're going to win their division.
They are. Yes, they are.
And James Robinson is watching Bam Knight play. Now,
Yeah.
credit, Bam Knight's not bad. He's a pretty good player.
They're awful this weekend. The run game, there is no run game because they can't block for anybody. How many times this weekend did you see the running back get hit in the backfield?
And you're telling me that that's not a Vera Tucker thing. You're telling me that's not.
He's one guy, and they're trying to make him out like he's one of the best tackles in the league. He's okay. He's average at best.
When he was healthy, and when Breece Hall was healthy, their running game was good. It was explosive.
You can't compare Breece Hall to a guy who went undrafted. Like
you absolutely can. It's because you can compare statistics, you can compare games, right? But that's like saying you can't compare a first-round draft pick with Brock Purdy. They play the same position, they play the same games. Doesn't matter. Tony Romo was undrafted. Kurt Warner was undrafted. Like, these things happen. You find diamonds in the rough. That's up to guys like Joe Douglas. And he needs to look himself in the mirror and say, we messed up on this.
Yes, right. And they're not. They're staying behind him. They're saying hell or high water. He's gonna be here. It's like, guys, I don't know. Maybe the Dolphins would take him. Maybe maybe I don't know. But
wait, hang on. Wait, one more thing. Before we get off of this, we're gonna talk about Dolphins Jets just for a little while longer because they left the Patriots alive. The Patriots still breathing. The Patriots are still in the goddamn playoff hunt.
But aren't the Patriots? The Patriots are going, aren't they? They're not in.
It's not locked up.
Oh, what do they need to happen?
Locked up.
Oh, they need Miami to
they
lose
need to
this
win
weekend?
out. They need to win out, and Miami needs to lose.
Oh, they're playing Buffalo, I think, in Buffalo this weekend. The Patriots.
So the New England I would like to welcome the New England Patriots to the playoffs. Like, you guys think you got them, but you never do. And Bill, we've been dragging Coach Belichick all year we've been dragging Matt Patricia all year. We've been dragging Joe Judge all year. Mac Jones, dirty ass Mac Jones all year. And they still manage to survive and make the playoffs.
Well, the one thing we've said though is they play defense.
Yeah.
We've said that the whole season, that they play defense. Something the Jets numbers are so fraudulent. They look good on paper, but man, they give up gashers. They gave up a gasher to the Lions, that 50-yard touchdown. They give up big plays in big moments. They don't close. That's one misconception about that Jet defense. That Jet defense, they need a linebacker. Mobley ain't getting it done. And I think they need some secondary help. I think they need safeties. They got a corner. They got a shutdown corner. We were wrong about Gardner. He's legit. But that, I've never been of the camp where, I need a lockdown corner and my defense is great. I've never been of that camp. I'd rather force an offense to spread it around than just think one side of the field is completely locked down and I don't got to worry about it for the whole game. I don't know. That's just me. Maybe that's the offensive person in me.
It's unnecessary. You had in Denver, you had the no-fly zone, right? You had Aqib Talib. You had multiple players. I would rather have a well-developed secondary entirely. I'd rather have the Legion of Boom.
Yeah.
The Legion of Boom, they hit. Was Richard Sherman a great corner? No, but he was physical as fuck.
He was physical. Cam Chancellor was a missile.
Earl Thomas
was a ball hawk. Those guys, that secondary was legit. And, you stood away from Sherman, but that didn't mean that you could just do whatever you wanted everywhere else. You had to run the ball in them. You had to do other things. I've just never been of the mindset of oh, great, I got a lockdown corner. And this side of the field is, no, I don't have to worry about it.
No, one player doesn't. It's nice to have, but it's not make or break on your defense.
Avoid messy accidents. Get better stopping power with your brake pads. Callahan brake pads. You never know when you'll be driving in the road and there will be a truck tire that you need to avoid and save your family. Callahan Auto. We really care about what's under your hood. Come on, you're excited. Let's talk about college football. The championship is set. Georgia topped OSU in the last seconds, and TCU dropped Michigan to set up an interesting finale. Let's just skip the semantics. Who you got? Games, I think, Monday or Tuesday.
I gotta go with Georgia. Yes, the stats, offensively, they're pretty close. TCU is averaging about 1.5 more per game. Georgia's allowing 13 points a game. Average of 13. Now,
not on New Year's Eve.
Not on New Year's Eve.
Not this year.
No. And targeting, was that not targeting?
There's some controversial stuff.
There was some controversial stuff there, and Ohio State kickers just got awful. So, it's gonna be evenly matched up. I got to go with the playoff experience, the pelt on the wall. Georgia is the class of college football right now. TCU is a great story. They did what the other underdogs could not do. They went toe-to-toe with the power, and they won. And we're going to get to Michigan in a second. We're going to get to some questionable decision-making by Coach Harbaugh.
Coach Khakis.
But, maybe Coach Panther, if you believe the report, soon enough.
Yeah.
But, it's narrow. It's a coin flip, especially at this point in the year.
You think it's a coin? You got it as a coin flip.
I do. When you put up as many points and there's no defense to be found in either game, at this point, it really comes down to a pick-em. It really does come down to a pick-em. Georgia has more NFL talent, NFL caliber talent. They're the ones ready to go. Stetson Bennett, we'll see. 23 touchdowns, 7 picks. Hacksaw Max Duggan's right there, 32-6.
Looking like Andrew Dalton out there.
Well, let's not go crazy here.
I mean,
just because there's a red rifle, but
So
but it's narrow.
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually slightly inclined to watch this game. I'm interested. I mean, the story, the best story would be TCU beating Georgia, right? The defending champs for the national title. That would be epic, right? I mean, each of the games on New Year's Eve, they were high scoring, but I mean, that happened. These teams haven't played football in over a month. Like, nobody's really seen each other. No one's really ready. I mean, that's the only thing is like, the games were exciting on New Year's Eve. There's a lot of back and forth. There's a lot of blown coverages. People just running wide open down the field. But there's no defense. I want to see some defense in the game. I hope this weekend hope this national championship game is going to be like Georgia against. I mean, isn't going to be like Alabama against Notre Dame. That was awful. Or that year Oregon took the ass whooping. We witnessed a few years ago. So I hope it's a competitive game. I'd like to see TCU win. But it's like you said, I mean, Georgia's the defending champion. Their coach has been here before. These players have been here before. Much more NFL talent. I just hope it's a game. I hope it's not a blowout.
Exactly. At this point in time, if they stayed in the rhythm of the season, this might be a different story. If it was within the rhythm of the season, this may very well be Michigan, Ohio State. We don't know, but because of the amount of time that was taken off, you got healthy, you got whole, you got a lot of time to practice, and you had a lot of time to practice for a specific opponent. It's not like the NFL where it's like, okay, I played the Patriots this week, I advanced the next round of the playoffs. Fuck, I got the Chiefs. I had a month to prepare for this game. It's not like a bye week where it's just like I'm off and I'm like, okay, I'm right back at it.
Right.
So now it gets back into a normal rhythm. And when you're looking at games in normal rhythm, Georgia's defense, they gave up 30 in the SEC title game. But before that, they beat Georgia Tech 37-14. They beat Kentucky 16-6. They beat Mississippi State 45-19. So they held their opponents under 20 points. LSU was an outlier. And then this game was an outlier. I'm more inclined to believe what I saw. And then if you look at prior results, prior to the Michigan game, TCU gave up 28, 14, 28, and 10. So still, it's not 45.
Yeah.
It's not 41. Right. So I'm more inclined to believe that we're going to see that performance this go round. Just from the standpoint of, everything that they planned for, now they don't have the month planned for. And as far as your pick to click, who is the guy? Who is the guy that's going to shine brightest in this national title game?
I think it's Stetson, man. I mean, I just feel like I don't want to say he's Tom Brady. That's not the right comparison. But he's got that kind of like, not chip on his shoulder, but the everything's okay kind of attitude. And he's been here before, he's done it before. I trust him with the ball. I don't think he's gonna turn it over. He makes the right play, he makes the right read. He's throwing to top of the country talent. And I think it's him. To me, it starts and ends with him. He'll dictate the pace of the game for the Bulldogs. With TCU, it's really, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to play against that Georgia defense. I know what's happened the last couple of games. But at the end of the day, Kirby Smart is a defensive guy, man. I'm sure he's going to be putting the Horned Frogs in a position they're not ready for. Like, who do you have your eyes on here?
I'm looking at Kenny McIntosh, also of Georgia, Yeah. TCU averages 150 yards allowed on the ground. Georgia allows 77. All you need to know. So, 10 touchdowns on the season, only 779 yards, but, he only has 142 carries. That's pretty good. So, I think if you're going to try and control the game, as Georgia's want to do, I think that you put it in the hands of Kenny McIntosh and you just let him dictate the pace and play off of that. Stetson Bennett will put up his numbers. He'll get hits. But I think that McIntosh is going to be the bell cow that you need him to be. And I think it's going to be close. It's definitely going to be close.
I hope so.
But,
I hope so.
For rooting interest, I would definitely prefer it be a close one. But, we referred to the TCU Michigan affair where the Horned Frogs beat the Wolverines 51-45. More like a basketball score than a football score. But the loss by Michigan has raised questions about Coach Jim Harbaugh's prowess in the coaching ranks. Rumor has it that he has been contacted by David Tepper and he may take a meeting regarding the Carolina Panthers coaching job. So is there any chance he actually returns to the NFL, or is he just trying to drive the price up on Michigan again?
Yeah, I don't think he will leave Michigan, but he should. Right? He should. I mean, come on. This team was primed. This is the best he had done for Michigan. But I did write down two teams that I thought would be a good fit for him if he were to dabble back in the NFL. And those two teams, not one of them is Carolina, believe it or not. So the gaff would be if he went to the Jets.
Oh God.
Well, hey, if you're so vested in Zach Wilson, bring in a guy who knows how to coach offense. Look what he did with Colin Kaepernick, a kid who played, I think, for Vegas. Pretty sure he played. That was the college he went to. No,
Nevada.
A kid who played for Nevada. Wow. Like, come on. You don't think Harbaugh could help make Zach Wilson better? You need someone who can coach offense to make the dude better. And then, the team that I think should seriously, consider, taking on his services is the Denver Broncos. You got to bring in someone that's going to fix Russell Wilson. You're not getting rid of Russell Wilson. He's there. I think Harbaugh could come in there, bring in a good offense that will play to Wilson's strengths and the people around him and the players around him. They have a good team. They've got good receivers. They got a good running back. I think Harbaugh would be good in Denver. He might butt heads with Elway, though. I doubt that marriage would work, but that's the way I see it.
Jim Harbaugh is going to wear out his welcome wherever he goes. That's what he does. Like, he runs you into the ground. There's a reason why he's still not in San Francisco. There's a reason why he and Balky are no longer together. They pretty much ran their course together.
Balky's in Jacksonville.
Balky's in Jacksonville, and he's rebuilding. Kyle Shanahan pretty much stepped right in to what Coach Harbaugh left. Didn't really miss a beat there. But at the NFL, I'm looking at Denver. That's fair. I'm looking at anywhere that is going to pass on trading for Sean Payton, because New Orleans still owns his rights. You're going to have to give up cash. You're going to give up draft picks. You may have to give up player. But you want Sean Payton, you're going to have to pay a premium. Michigan, I think it's a few $1 million as his buyout. So it's more feasible to go after a guy like Harbaugh. Now, I don't necessarily like Carolina moving on from Steve Wilkes so quickly, considering what they did and how they were able to recover. I feel like it's very Rich Bisaccia-esque. Thank you, did so well, get the fuck out. Like, I don't like that. The Indianapolis Colts, that makes a ton of sense for me. He was a Colt. Irsay knows Jim Harbaugh. Probably the reason why he won't bring him back is that he knows Jim Harbaugh. If he becomes available and Lovie Smith decides that these wholesale changes that the owner wants to make to his staff, if that's too rich for his blood and Lovie decides to leave, would Jim Harbaugh take the Houston Texans job? Maybe. Especially if he's got the number 1 pick coming his way. I could see that. I could definitely see that. Denver makes the most sense because they're the most desperate. They are absolutely the most desperate right now. And it's a splash move, right? The owner of the Walton family, they made a splash move when they got Russell Wilson. They're not shying away from the big splash. And I don't know if it will fix Russell Wilson, but it will definitely wash out the taste of Nathaniel Hackett, which is what they may want to do. At the end of the day, I don't know. Like, none of these jobs compare to the Minnesota job that he interviewed for last year. The Minnesota job was much better than any of these positions. That team was pretty much turnkey when Mike Zimmer left. And Kevin O'Connell, he turned the key. Like, that is the position, Jim Harbaugh would have had the most success in because it's most ready-made. I don't know if he's willing to do the work. I don't know if he's willing to do that long-term because he's burned everywhere he's gone. He's burned out in a very short time. He's flamed out in a very short time. But if we're going to rank them, and this is, again, based on what's available, we haven't even gotten to Black Monday yet. New Orleans could be available. Vegas could be available. Atlanta may be available. We got to see. We definitely have to see. But as of right now, the most attractive job, in my opinion, would be Denver.
This podcast is brought to you by our friends at Anchor by Spotify. And if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, it's the easiest way to make a podcast with everything you need all in one place. Let me explain. Anchor has tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. No specialty training or equipment needed. When hosting on Anchor, you can distribute your podcast worldwide on listening platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. And best of all, like I've been saying, Anchor is totally free. It's free. Download the Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started and make your podcast dreams a reality. That's anchor.fm. What are you waiting for? Download the app.
We've been looking back on 2022, the year that was, as we've been getting ready for 2023, the year that is and will be. And it had us thinking, kind of putting a bookend, putting a cap on 2022. Who would be your athlete of the year for the year of 2022, Dave?
Who do you have?
Well, for starters, Aaron Judge comes to mind. Fair nominee.
Yeah.
You know, sets the American League home run record. MVP. Solid player. Newly minted. Very well paid now. Lionel Messi finally gets his World Cup. Right? Ascends to the level of greatness of the likes of Pelé. Finally got what he was chasing the entire time. In basketball, I would say Steph Curry had a good 2022 for making it back to the mountaintop with the Warriors after a few years of being injury rattled and being unable to get back to the echelon, the standard that was the Golden State Warriors. Hockey, Connor McDavid had a great year, but you know, he's well on his way to being the gold standard of the modern hockey era, the current hockey era. Right? I'm not going to invoke the name that we're thinking of right now. I'm not going to say his name because no one's there yet. But in terms of modern hockey, Connor McDavid is legit. Connor McDavid is absolutely legit. But of those nominees, I would have to say, because soccer, football is such a transcendental game that it's universal, it's global. Lionel Messi would narrowly edge out Aaron Judge, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think those were the two top guys I had too. Messi, because this was it for him, right? This was the last piece he needed to cap a tremendous career. It was the only thing missing from his display case. It was the only thing missing from his resume, and he captured it in such amazing fashion against the defending World Cup champions. And they came back and tied the game. He put them over the edge. And they tied the game again into overtime, penalty kicks, and he helps his team win. And then the runner-up is Aaron Judge. I mean, he bet on himself. He didn't sign the contract in the offseason. He broke the American League record for home runs in a season. He was the best player on his team. He won the MVP award. He single-handedly carried them, all season. And, if it wasn't for Messi, it would be Aaron Judge.
I agree. And, I mean, you have a lot of great options out there, Kylian Mbappe, another great choice out of the World Cup, if not for Lionel Messi. Potentially back-to-back World Cup winner, Golden Boot.
Katie Ledecky had a decent year, too.
Ledecky had a good year in the pool.
Yeah.
Like, Katie Ledecky's always a good choice.
I think she set like 2 or 3 new world records. And she continues to just dominate. She had a good season. Steph Curry, Steph Curry was a good one. I mean, he won the championship. They came back. They were a terrible team, and they finally, rose back from the ashes. He wouldn't be a bad choice. Just that he hasn't done anything that we haven't seen already. You know what I mean?
No, I mean that's also speaking to his standard of play. His standard of excellence was such that it's ho-hum. What he did is considered ho-hum. But based on what we saw, I would say that it's a safe bet. Like both Messi and Judge would be safe bets in that regard. I mean, you have plenty of overrated athletes in 2022. you had definitely plenty of superstars.
I said I wasn't gonna cough.
I did it. I made it happen. But these guys definitely lived up to the hype. Shohei Ohtani lived up to the hype, but in terms of like
about that guy.
grander stage and grander achievement, I got to go with those two. I definitely need to, and this is something that Lionel Messi can hold on to for the rest of his life, and it's not going to be eclipsed by somebody else. Somebody can turn around, newly signed, newly extended Rafael Devers can go and hit 63 next year for the Red Sox and break Aaron Judge's record. So that's just how sports work. But for something like the World Cup, nobody's coming and taking that mantle. You're just on the mantle with the rest of the legends.
Are you in need of air care maintenance or service? I have the company for you. Air Care Technicians. They service the Westchester and Northern Bronx area and can help you with all your heating and cooling, maintenance, and service needs. Just give them a call at 914-315-1547. Again, that's 914-315-1547. Or shoot them an email at aircaretechnicians@gmail.com. These guys are the real deal as they are veteran-owned, licensed, and insured. Make sure to tell them that D&Z sent you.
More or less?
All right, boys and girls, here's how it goes. We have a statement, and it's either more likely or less likely that it'll happen. More or less, number one, Zion Williamson will return to his MVP form this season.
Less likely. It's unfortunate. He's having a really good season. This is everything they wanted him to be. He's a beast. He's on another level. But man, hamstring injuries linger. And he's a big dude. He's gonna have to. They're saying 3 weeks. It's gonna be more like 3 months. It's gonna take a while for him to get better.
I'm gonna go more likely from the standpoint that he's on the court. If he's on the court and he can get back on the court, I feel that he is going to be in the discussion. Right? Because then you also have guys like Anthony Davis who are playing at a very high level before he got hurt. But what else is new? Devin Booker is always a good one. Jason Tatum, John Morant, Giannis, Joel Embiid. You have lots of guys. Luka goes from 60 points. He's carrying the load right now. So he'll be one of many. Zion will absolutely be one of many. But right now, he's averaging 26, 7, and 5 per game this season. That's pretty good. He's finally fulfilling that potential. It's the health. With him, it's always going to be the health. 6'6", 284. It's always going to be the health and the body. If he can somehow channel it and harness it to where he can be on the court. He's a force, but he's one of many. I would say top 10. Top 10 if you're gonna rank him. He's up there, but he's got to stay on the court. Story of his career. More or less, number 2, Logan Cooley will help the Arizona Coyotes become a winning franchise.
I think it's more likely. He's tearing it up at the juniors right now. And they could use a man of his caliber. And I'm not saying he's the next Malkin and he's not the next Crosby, or Connor McDavid like we talked about earlier. But I think he can get them to be a playoff team, and I think they can become successful within the next 5 years.
I'm going less likely. I'm going like one man does not do this. They built around Sidney Crosby. They built around Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane. If you're looking at Arizona, right, as presently constituted, let's be real here. The cupboard is not, there isn't a lot in here. And what's in the cupboard is a little expired. Jacob Chikrin, they've been trying to get rid of Jacob Chikrin for years. In the last 2 seasons, he's been rumored to come to the Rangers. Shane Gostisbehere played his way out of Philly. Patrick Nemeth, Ranger last year. Solid. Nothing to write home about. That's just your D. Clayton Keller, he's all right. Nick Ritchie, it's just a bunch of also-reds right now. Like Bukestad, you have a couple of young kids, but they need a shot in the arm. He'll be a shot in the arm kind of guy, but I don't know. As good as this kid is, and for him to be tearing up the World Juniors like he is, right? I mean, had a hat trick against Germany, but I mean, who doesn't score a hat trick against the German hockey team? It's a shame when they only lose 11-1. Usually it's 16-1. But he's one guy they need so much more. And as prolific as a guy can be, it doesn't always line up that way, that he's the game changer. Alexis Lafreniere was supposed to be the game changer for the Rangers. He's getting healthy scratched. And his camp is balking at how Gerard Gallant is working with him. It doesn't always work out. For every Vinny Lecavalier, there's a Patrick Steffen. And that's the thing that's the thing about prospects. The great ones will hit, but not always. Whether it's their fault or not their fault. Look at Eric Lindros. Eric Lindros was can't miss. He only ended up having a ho-hum average career. The concussions, it didn't do him any favors. So, who's to say? But it's not exactly awe-inspiring when he's on the Coyotes of all teams. More likely or less likely, number 3, Claudio Reyna is going to get banned by U.S. Soccer for dropping the dime on Greg Berhalter.
I don't know, man. I think it's less likely. I think what they're saying is like, I don't know. I think it's less likely. I don't think it's going to happen. I think people are just going to look past this and just move on.
I'm going to go less likely. It's going to be a hell of a Lifetime movie. I'm going to tell you that much right now. For those of you not in the know, Gio Reyna was not getting any playing time in Qatar on the U.S. men's team. Got dragged a little bit by Coach Greg Berhalter for his lack of maturity and his, immature response to that lack of playing time. And got back to Gio's parents, Claudio Reyna, former member of the U.S. men's team, from the heyday of the mid to late 90s, Alexi Lalas, Greg Berhalter himself. They were teammates. And it's just the drama. It's the drama of it all. Claudio had some dirt on Greg. Danielle Reyna, the wife of Claudio Reyna, supposedly dropped the dime on Greg Berhalter's past domestic violence incident with his wife almost 30 years ago. So she put a little call in to, Ernie Stewart. He works for U.S. Soccer. Like, hey, do you know who's running your team? Like, really? You hear about this stuff, like this kind of entitlement behavior. You usually hear, like, my son's not getting playing time, I'm going to yell at the coach. You usually see that like JV soccer or JV baseball. My son's not playing. Let me email the athletic director. It's petty. This wouldn't be a story if Gio Reyna was just mature enough from the get-go. It reeks of pettiness. It reeks of a vendetta for whatever reason. Ultimately, Claudio Reyna has no relationship to the current U.S. men's national team other than his son playing for it. This may have blowback on Gio Reyna, but we'll see about that. Claudio, I mean, there were some rumors from when he was the GM of NYCFC about some inappropriate behavior. But I think his time in the spotlight has come and gone, and he'll just quietly be phased out of U.S. men's national lore. But it's not a good look for U.S. soccer. And with any luck, this just means that the U.S. has made it as a world power, because now we have soccer drama and people are paying attention. Step outside of your safe area and make a statement without saying much with FCK Clout Lifestyle Apparel. Embrace the colorful chaos and stay emotionally regulated in their hoodies, snapbacks, graphic tees, accessories, and more. Season 3 merch is up now. Get it while you can. Go to fckclout.com and get all of your needs from men and women. That's fckclout.com.
The Fade Store presents the Alleged Superstar of the Week Award.
All right, boys and girls, you know what time it is. It's time for the Alleged Superstar of the Week. Here's how it goes. We put up a poll on our Twitter page at FadeRouteDNZ, and you vote, and you vote, and you vote, and you vote. And the winner of said vote gets the coveted ass trophy and a shout out on this here episode of the Fade Route with DNZ. And do you know, D, who took home the coveted ass trophy last week?
I don't.
Mac Jones.
That guy.
Narrowly beat out Zach Wilson. His dirty ass narrowly beat out Zach Wilson. But that was last week. This was this week. Who are your nominees for the Alleged Superstar of the Week, D?
First up, I've got Kayvon Thibodeau doing the Snow Angel celebration after injuring Nick Foles on a sack. Not cool. Not cool. Kayvon Thibodeau, you are my Alleged Superstar of the Week. Next up, We've got the Jets' future and heir apparent to the throne, Mike White. Jets bench Zach Wilson for 23 of 46, 240 yards, no touchdowns and interception. The Jets' future, my ass, Mike White. You are my alleged superstar of the week. And last and certainly not least, Ron Rivera. Not knowing you could be eliminated from playoff contention if the Packers beat the Vikings. You got to be better than that, Ron. Someone's got to tell you what's going on over there. Ron Rivera, you're my alleged superstar of the week. Z, what do you got?
All fine choices. The Ron Rivera thing, it's like you go to Washington and you forget the rules of football. Donovan McNabb, I believe, was also a Washington Redskin when they tied. Like you can tie in football. Yes, you can.
That's right.
Yes, you can. So apparently, like once you sign with Washington, you forget the rules of football. I'm going to start with Skip Bayless.
That guy.
This blowhard, in light of the Damar Hamlin situation, had the balls, the audacity, the chutzpah to send out this following tweet, and I quote, "No doubt the NFL is considering postponing the rest of this game, but how? This late in the season, a game of this magnitude is crucial to the regular season outcome, which suddenly seems so irrelevant. The show must go on for you, huh, Skip? A man died twice on the field. A man is fighting for his life, and you're worried about being entertained? You're worried about the playoff implications? You're worried about sending the fans home happy? The fans ain't going home happy unless they know he's okay. And for that matter, I'm going to put Bart Scott in here too for blaming T. Higgins for this incident. Accidents happen. It was a freak occurrence. And for you to blame T. Higgins and place that on his head for a routine NFL play, that is absolutely disgusting and uncalled for. So Skip Bayless and Bart Scott, you are my alleged superstars of the week. Claudio and Danielle Reyna, the Reyna family, the Reyna of terror. Your son didn't get any playing time because he was immature. So you decide to leak information to the U.S. Soccer Federation to try and get Greg Berhalter fired, even though his contract was up. You're trying to drag this guy because your son didn't get to play. That is the ultimate in friggin' entitlement. Reyna family, get your shit together. You are my alleged superstar of the week. And last but not least, Dana White, UFC president, getting into a slap fight with your wife on New Year's Eve on camera. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot to unpack from this situation. Dana White, you need to get your house in order because that is unacceptable. Dana White, you are my alleged superstar of the week. We've said our piece. The poll's going up as soon as the show ends. Go to our Twitter page at FadeRouteDNZ and vote, and vote, and vote, and vote, and for our nominees. Just do better, boys. Just do better.
Can't help but smile when you see a balloon. The simplest occasion is a party. Westchester Pop Stars, located in New Rochelle, New York, offers balloon styling and decor for all life's events. Birthdays, anniversaries, weddings, showers, school and corporate events, store openings, or just because. Westchester Pop Stars takes balloons and shapes them into works of art, creating decorative installations for your special occasions. No event is too big or too small, and their custom personalization service is top-notch. Westchester Pop Stars is a private studio, quickly expanding. In-person consultation is by appointment only. Send an email to westchesterpopstars@gmail.com for more information or to schedule an appointment. No need to hire an event stylist. All you need is balloons. Currently servicing Westchester, Putnam, New York City, and Connecticut. To find Westchester Pop Stars, search for them on Instagram, Facebook, or Google.
Let's run the option and give you our picks for the week.
It is the option for Week 18, the final week of the NFL regular season. And if you haven't joined our CBS Pick'em yet, what are you waiting for? It's the last week of the season. Go to our link in bio. Sign up today for our CBS Pick'em. It's called the option. Currently, I have a 2-point lead over the lovely Rita Sanchez. D, you are in third. Foxy is 1 point behind. And Zach is coming on strong. We are all going to finish off strong. Let's see what you guys got. We have a Saturday double header. 4:30 p.m. The 13-3 Kansas City Chiefs go into Allegiant Stadium to take on the 6-10 Las Vegas Raiders.
Kansas City.
How about them Chiefs? It's not going to be close. Your AFC South Division Championship game. The 7-9 Titans go into Jacksonville to take on the 8-8 Jaguars.
Jags.
Jags take this one pretty easily. Joshua Dobbs is getting the start again. Mike Vrabel is possibly on his way up. Sunday, 1 o'clock p.m., the 8-8 Buccaneers at the 6-10 Falcons.
Oh, the Buccaneers.
It's going to be close. Falcons would love to play a little bit of spoiler. The Bucs are in. They have really nothing to play for at this point. They're still better than the Bucs. They're still better than the Falcons. So I'm going to take the Bucs. The 8-8 Patriots go into Orchard Park to take on the 12-3 Buffalo Bills.
Oh, yeah, that's a tough one, right?
Yeah.
It's a tough one. I'm going to go with the Patriots.
I am taking the Patriots as well. In light of what's...
It's just a tough situation.
How can you expect these guys to be ready to play mentally? Like, how do you expect them to be there? It's just a hard situation for them. And, you know, they were playing for seeding prior to the Hamlin situation, but the game doesn't matter now.
Why?
You know?
Wait, no, it does.
No, it does, but in the grander scheme
Oh,
of
in the
things,
grand scheme
it
of
doesn't.
life, yeah, nothing really matters. Yeah.
So it's an uneven balance. This game means everything for the Patriots right now, and it means nothing for the Bills because their teammate is in the hospital.
Their mind is somewhere else.
Yeah, so I think the Patriots are going to take this pretty handily and punch their ticket to the playoffs. The 12-4 Vikings at the 3-13 Chicago Bears without Justin Fields.
Vikings.
Paper Tigers get another one. The Paper Tigers get another one. It's unbelievable. It's absolutely unbelievable. And the Bears will possibly get the number 1 pick off of this. At least the number 2. We'll see what happens later on, but the Bears put themselves into excellent position.
No, the Houston's gonna get the number 1 pick.
We'll see. Let's get to that game in a second. The 10-6 Baltimore Ravens at the Cincinnati Bengals.
Eesh.
Yes.
Eesh. I actually think the Bengals are going to win. That's just because the Ravens are so injured right now.
I don't see how the Bengals can be mentally in this either.
I don't think they're going to be mentally in it, but the Ravens are awful. Awful.
The Ravens are, with Huntley and that gut buster.
They don't have anybody to throw the
Steelers.
ball to. There's nobody to throw the ball
Yeah.
to. They lost to the Steelers for crying out loud.
The Steelers, it's sneaky. It's very sneaky.
Listen, the Bills are playing a team that's fighting to get into the playoffs. That's healthy and well coached, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not what's happening in this other scenario.
No, but still, they're not. The Bengals cannot be mentally in this and having to go back to that field where it occurred.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
That's traumatic. That's very. It's
very
home.
good point. Yeah, it's home.
It's your home, but it's the scene of your trauma. So
yeah, that's true.
I think that the Ravens are going to take this one. I think they're going to knock off the Bengals, but we'll see. The Ravens are very banged up. You're 100% right, and Huntley is not playing as well as he did last year to warrant the confidence that they have in him. But I just can't pick against the Ravens in light of what happened on Monday. I can't take the Bills and the Bengals. You can excuse it. It's understandable. I just can't see them. I just can't see them being mentally in it. The 2-13-1 Houston Texans go into Indy to take on the 4-11-1 Colts. See what I mean?
Awful.
See?
Texans. You're right.
See what I mean? With the immortal Sam Ellinger under center because Nick Foles got wrecked by Kayvon Thibodeau. I got to take the Texans too. The Texans are playing. They're playing hard. They don't know they're supposed to be tanking for the number one pick.
They're still
They're
going to
playing
get a good.
tough.
They're still going to get a good quarterback. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, number one, number two doesn't matter. You'll
Because
you will get one of them.
because the Bears aren't going to take a quarterback, so you're fine.
You'll still get your guy.
Yeah.
Whether that's Bryce Young or
It's Bryce
CJ
Young.
Stroud or whoever. Well, don't be so sure because they took Darryl Stingley last year. That was kind of out of nowhere. Not a need, but they still took him. So it's Casario kind of does what he wants down there. So we'll see. But the Texans, I think, take this one. The 7-9 New York Jets at the 8-8 Miami Dolphins.
Jets.
This is my two bowls of shit theory. They're both on 5-game losing streaks. Who's going to suck? Well, not necessarily. How many ties have we had this year? But, who sucks less at this point? I'm going to go with the Jets because they actually have a competent quarterback. No offense to Skylar Thompson. I'm sure you're a fine young man. The 6-10 Panthers at the 7-9 New Orleans Saints.
Panthers.
This one's tough. In the biggest game of the year last week, the Panthers gagged it up. I'm going to go with the Saints. They seem to be on to something. They'll finish 8-9, and Dennis Allen will somehow keep his job. The 7-9 Browns at the 8-8 Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh, Steelers.
Steelers are riding high right now. I'm with you. Kenny Pickett looks like a solid, competent NFL quarterback. They've got weapons. Najee Harris, solid. That defense plays. Deshaun Watson's in for a long day. We're into the 4 o'clock hour now. The 9-6-1 Giants at the 13-3 Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles are playing for seeding. Giants are playing for pride. I'm going to go with the Giants. I think the Giants will play them tough. They'll hang on. They'll play scrappy football to the end. And they will take it home. The 12-4 Cowboys at the 7-8-1 Washington Commanders.
Boys.
How about them Cowboys? How about them Cowboys? And what may very well be Ron Rivera's last game. Wouldn't surprise me at all. And wouldn't that be something if Coach Khaki goes there? It'd be interesting. The 10-6 Chargers at the 4-12 Broncos.
Chargers.
This would be the game that the Chargers lose. This would be it. If there's any game that the Chargers would lose, it's this one. They have playoff seeding already locked up. They have their spot, and they just lay an egg against the Broncos. But the Broncos are so terrible that the Chargers will play like shit and still win. I'm going to take the Chargers narrowly. The 5-11 Rams at the 8-8 Seattle Seahawks.
Hawks.
Go Hawks. How the mighty have fallen for the Rams. My goodness. The 4-12. Fuck them picks. Well, you got fucked this year. That's karma. The 4-25 continues with the 4-12 Arizona Cardinals at the 12-4 San Francisco 49ers.
49ers.
Niners easily. And this is it for Cliff Kingsbury. You heard it here first, guys. He'll be gone after this game. Why wait for Black Monday? They'll can him Sunday. And your Sunday night special, the last regular season game of the year, the 8-8 Detroit Lions at the 8-8 Green Bay Packers, the team that just will not go away.
Go, Pack, go.
Oh. I root for chaos. I want to see the world burn, and I want to see Detroit in the playoffs. I want to see the Detroit Lions in the playoffs at the expense of the Green Bay Packers, and I want to see the look on Aaron Rodgers' face when he has to watch Jared Goff celebrate. I want to see that. I want to see Aaron Rodgers, his third eye open, and the ayahuasca high. I want to see all of that happen. The Lions win this weekend.
This has been the Fade Route with D&Z. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Catch our podcast on Wednesday nights on Anchor, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you listen to your podcast. So until next time, stay faded, everyone.
Time for us to run the go route, but we'll talk to you next week.
Want to get on the action? We want to hear from you. Hit us up, faderoutemail@gmail.com. Slide in our DMs on IG at FadeRoutePodcast. Drop us a DM on Twitter at FadeRouteDNZ. Comment on our YouTube channel, The Fade Route with DNZ. Questions, comments, picks, segment suggestions, you name it, we want to hear from you. Get at us, in crowd.